The phone rang in the middle of a merger, and a 7-year-old's voice asked me if her sister was going to die. Blood on the sidewalk. People stepping around a child like she was a traffic cone, and I'm standing there in a glass box pretending spreadsheets matter. Tell me honestly, if it were your phone, would you answer? Or would you let it ring out because the meeting looked important? My name is Nathan, and I used to measure my life in quarterly reports in stock ticks in the quiet brag of a corner office. That Tuesday at 3:47 p.m., a wrong number ripped all that apart. "Mr. Please help me," she said, words tumbling over each other. "My sister won't wake up. There's blood." I called 911, but my hands are shaking. "I think I called you by accident. I'm sorry, please." You can hear when a kid is trying to be brave and the world won't let her. I walked out mid-sentence. Tie half-loose phone pressed to my ear, the board staring like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Maybe I finally found it. "Slow down, sweetheart," I said, stepping into the hallway. "What's your name, Zoe?" "I'm 7 3/4. The 3/4 mattered. You could hear it in the pride. "Where are you, Zoe?" "Maple Street, the big blue building, the bakery with the pink sign." My sister Amara pushed me out of the way, and the car hit her, and that's when I was already moving. Keys off my assistant's desk, elevator button jammed, my driver scrambling. "Stay with your sister. I'm calling an ambulance. I'm coming to you. Do you see a grown-up near you?" A man in a brown jacket. He looked, and then he kept walking. My chest burned. "You did the right thing calling Zoe. Keep talking to me." I pulled up to Sweet Dreams Bakery and saw exactly what she described. Blue building, pink sign, afternoon sun, showing you things you don't want to see. A smear of red on concrete. A teenage girl with beautiful dark skin lying too still, and the smallest little soldier kneeling beside her, one hand on her sister's, the other trying to block the light. "You came," Zoe whispered, like that was the miracle. "You really came, I promised," I said, kneeling down, trying to look steady when I wasn't. Sirens cut through traffic. The city finally turned its head. Paramedics moved like lightning, wrapped in calm. "Possible traumatic brain injury," one said, already checking pupils, blood pressure, airway. "We need transport to City General now." "Do it," I said. "We need a parent or guardian to consent." "She has an aunt," I said, "but she's across town." "Transport anyway, I'll sign." "Sir, liability." "Then I'll take it." I handed over everything with a number on it. Insurance ID, my card, my name. Sometimes the rules are simple. A child needs help, you help. If it were you, what would you have done? In the ambulance, Zoe's hands shook so hard she kept missing the oxygen mask. I guided her fingers. "Is Amara going to die like Mama and Daddy?" she asked. So matter of fact, it felt like a blade. "No," I said, "because a promise is a bridge you walk out on and pray will hold. Not today. We're going to take care of her." The ER is controlled chaos. Curtains snapping, beeps, clicking time voices that cut through panic like scalpels. Dr. Torres introduced herself, eyes calm and sharp. "We need neurosurgery. Paging Dr. Hassan. This is urgent." A nurse looked at me. "Are you family?" "He's our friend." Zoe said, squeezing my hand so tight it hurt. Right there in a fluorescent hallway, a child decided who I was, and I decided to live up to it. We called the aunt, Dr. Simone Baptiste, an ER doc on the other side of the city. "I'll be there in 10, she said. "Don't let them do anything until I arrive." I looked at Dr. Torres. There wasn't time. I gave consent as financial guarantor and watched them wheel Amara away. Zoe pressed her face into my jacket, and made a sound. I won't forget the sound you make when you've run out of words, but not out of fear. Pattern interrupt. This is where people ask what it felt like, and the truth is, small. Expensive suit wrinkled, someone else's blood dried on your shirt. Your reflection in stainless steel that doesn't know your name. The world suddenly very narrow. A doorway, a bed, a child's hand in yours. You know what I mean. Simone burst through the sliding doors. 15 minutes later, scrubs still on hair, tied back, eyes fierce. She went to Zoe, first hands on cheeks, forehead, fingers counting silently. Then she looked at me. You're Nathan. Not a question, an assessment. They started, I said. We didn't have time to wait. She nodded once, jaw flexing, gratitude hitting like a wave. Thank you, she said. 2 words heavier than any speech. Hours stretch funny when you're waiting on someone you love. Zoe fell asleep, half on my lap, half on Simone's. Cold fries in a wax bag became dinner because eating something normal keeps your brain from floating away. We talked about anything safe. Zoe's school project, how Amara taught her to count by 5s, using French fries, how hard it is to finish residency and become a parent in one breath. Life doesn't ask if you're ready, it just drops the box at your feet. Yeah, that happened. Dr. Hassan appeared at last, tired smile, surgical cap in his hand. We were able to relieve the pressure and stop the bleeding. The next 48 hours will be critical, but I'm optimistic. The hallway got bigger. The air tasted different. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath until my ribs hurt. The ICU lighting was soft, like the room knew the body needs gentleness to find its way back. Amara lay with clean white bandages, monitors steady a line of numbers saying, maybe. Zoe climbed into the chair and took her sister's hand. Hey. It's me, she whispered. I found us help. A nurse told us visiting hours were over, then brought 2 chairs that folded into beds because rules bend when love shows up. Night is loud in a hospital even when it's quiet. Machines sigh, shoes squeak, distant voices rise and fall. Around midnight, Zoe jolted from a nightmare breath, short eyes wild. I rubbed her back. I dreamed she didn't wake up. Look, I said, watch her breathing. Hear the beeps, that's the sound of tomorrow. Simone watched me over the blankets. Why are you really doing this? She asked softly, when Zoe fell back asleep. I had a dozen answers dressed up in logic, but what came out was the only one that mattered. Because it's right. Morning brought pale light, and Amara's eyes tracking the room. You're awake, I said, and it sounded stupid and perfect. Her voice was rough. Zoe says you paid for my surgery. I don't know who you are. I pulled my chair closer. I'm the guy who answered the wrong number. Zoe, fully serious, corrected me. Right number that took a weird path. We smiled. You hang on to jokes like that. They're handrails. Now you might think that's the whole story. Rich guy pays the bill, kid gets better cue, tidy ending. Not even close. Midway through all this, a detective called. We pulled a partial plate off a traffic camera. The van belongs to a subcontractor for a logistics company. My stomach dropped because the logistics company had a contract with my firm. Not owned by me, but tied close enough that someone could draw a line and it would cross my name. He kept talking. Statements, cooperation, possible charges. And all I could hear was the echo of tires leaving a girl in the street. That's the twist. The thread ran back toward me. In our small apartment kitchen, you know those counters that are just high enough to lean on when you need something to hold you up? Simone looked at me like a doctor and an aunt and a woman who's had to be strong too long. Did your world make this easier? Not you, Nathan specifically. Your world. Short deadlines, thin margins, 1,000 decisions made by people who will never kneel on hot concrete in their good shoes. If it were you, what would you say? Would you lawyer up, hide behind statements? Or would you do what I did and tell her the truth? Maybe it did, and I'm going to make it right, even if it costs me. We went public before anyone could spin. I stood in front of cameras. I've dodged for years, and said a company connected to mine subcontracted a van whose driver hit a child and ran. We're cooperating fully, we're paying for care, and if our timelines, incentives, or contracts put a human being in harm's way, then we're tearing them down and rebuilding. My PR team went pale. Investors called. People love a clean villain or a clean hero. They hate the mess where the villain has your logo on his paycheck, and the hero has your card in his wallet. Back home, Zoe watched the clip on a cracked tablet like it was a space launch. You told the truth, she said, the words simple and heavy. Simone squeezed my hand. Amara, propped up on pillows, nodded once. Good. Now can someone help me design a bumper that makes running away pointless? That kid is steel wrapped in kindness. Stick around, because what happened next will blow your mind. That phone call didn't just fix one terrible afternoon. It rewired the path of 3 lives and pulled a neighborhood along with it. The weeks after surgery were a new kind of busy. I started showing up in places my money could never go by itself. Picking Zoe up from school on the days Simone's shift insisted on stealing dinner time, pretending I could help with homework, and actually learning something, getting into long debates about whether Pluto should still be a planet. Driving Amara to physical therapy and watching her rebuild strength a millimeter at a time, stubborn as a sunrise. Eating spaghetti in a tiny kitchen where the table wobbled and the sauce tasted like relief. Quietly, I tried to make the floor under them sturdier. Rent paid ahead. Scholarships arranged without their names becoming somebody else's publicity stunt. College funds set up with clauses that said no payback, no strings. I did it in the dark, because giving loudly sometimes feels like buying applause, and I've had enough of applause that doesn't fix anything. Simone found out anyway. Women like her always do. She came home, closed the door, leaned against it, and said, "The landlord called." I braced for the lecture about pride and boundaries. She cried instead, not the messy cry of panic, but the quiet cry of a marathon finally letting you stop running. For the first time in 2 years, I don't have to juggle 3 bills to pay one, she whispered. I put my hands on her shoulders. Then stop juggling, I said. Let's build something that stands on its own. Love didn't arrive as fireworks. It arrived as 2 people sharing a folding chair and realizing it held. A first kiss that tasted like relief and coffee. 2 girls rolling their eyes and saying finally like they'd been running the schedule. Zoe one night asking with that blunt kid logic, "Are you going to be our dad now?" And me realizing a question can open a whole world. We built more than a family. We built a place. What if we opened a free clinic? I asked one night, where nobody gets turned away and nobody gets a bill. Simone stared like someone just put a key in her hand. We'd need pediatrics, emergency preventive care, mental health, the whole thing. Not Band-Aid systems. Then systems, I said. The Lisa and Thomas Baptiste Community Health Center, named for the girls' parents, went from an idea to blueprints to doors opening on a sunny morning. The ribbon was cut by 2 girls in matching dresses who'd already learned what it means to show up. Simone gave a short speech, not theater truth. This place exists because sometimes a wrong number finds the right person, she said. People clapped because they recognized themselves in the story. The moments you needed help and didn't know how to ask. We got married in the clinic garden under strings of lights that made cheap plastic look like stars. The mayor sent someone to shake hands. My board sent an arrangement so big, it looked like it might vote on bylaws. Mrs. Rodriguez, whose kids came to us the week we opened, baked a cake and gave a toast that made half the room cry. Amara said fathers aren't just the people who helped make you, they're the people who choose you day after day. Zoe's speech was 6 words. My dad answers every call now. I had to pretend there was dust in my eye. We made it legal, too. A judge with kind eyes asked if I understood what I was signing up for. I told her I already did the job. The paper just lets other people keep up. We kept both names, Baptist Cross. Because we weren't trading one life for another, we were joining them. Names matter. Hyphens matter. They say we can be more than one thing at once. The driver who hit Amara was found. He faced charges, and he should have. He also walked into our clinic one day with a counselor and said he was sorry. Voice-shaking eyes hollowed out by a choice he'll live with. Amara listened. She didn't absolve him. She didn't perform forgiveness for anyone's comfort. She nodded once, then said, "Help us make sure this can't happen to another family." Accountability and grace in one breath. Do you think that's fair, or do you think I went soft because she's my daughter? Tell me. I can take it. A year passed. Then 2. The clinic grew. Vaccinations and stitches and blood pressure checks, sure, but also dignity. My company changed too. Contracts rewritten to prioritize safety over speed pay, structured so nobody had to choose between their job and somebody's life audits with teeth. Did investors complain? Some did. Did we lose money? Less than the cost of pretending we didn't know better. You know what I mean. 5 years later, we stood in a sea of families at MIT and watched Amara walk across a stage, cap tilted, eyes bright. Zoe squeezed my hand and whispered she might be a doctor like Mom, or an engineer like her sister, or both, because why not? Simone, brilliant as ever, was publishing the kind of work that makes other doctors rethink the way care reaches people who need it most. I changed my name too, Nathan Baptiste Cross, because carrying their name across mine felt like telling the truth about who made me better. Here's where I turn it back to you. We love neat endings. Rich guy does a good thing, family saved, credits roll. But the question that keeps me up sometimes is bigger, and I want you to wrestle with it in the comments. Should people like me be the ones patching the holes in a system we profited from? Or should the system not have holes to begin with? Is philanthropy a bandage we applaud, so we don't have to look at the wound? Or can a wrong number start something real that holds? Do you think what we did was fair? I don't have all the answers. I have a Tuesday afternoon that changed me, a wife who keeps me honest, 2 daughters who call me out with love, and a hyphen in my last name that reminds me we don't erase what came before, we honor it. I still get unknown numbers. I answer them now. Of course I do. Once you recognize the sound of a life asking for you by name, you can't pretend you don't hear it. If you were sitting where I was, would you pick up, walk out, kneel on hot concrete in your good shoes, and hold the hand of a child who needs you, and then keep going even when the twist points the arrow back at your own house? Do you think I did enough, or too much, or the wrong things for the right reasons? Drop your city and your time in the comments so I know where you're listening from. Tell me the kindest thing you've ever seen a stranger do. Argue with me if you need to. Just don't scroll past in silence. Hit subscribe if you want more stories that start with a shock and end with a choice, and share this with someone who needs to be reminded that showing up can change everything. Your move, your call. What would you have done?